And hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the WARTburg Infusion Entertainment Review. It's episode 17. I'm one of your hosts, MrWartburg. Alongside me, as always, Patrick, aka Mr. Fusion.
Greetings and salutations, everybody.
And this week, if you're watching the video version, you've already seen our guest. We have a guest. It's our friend Joey, who you've heard us talk about on this show if you happen to listen. We've talked about him. Joey and I are going to talk about going back to the movies for the first time in 15 months, which is crazy.
Wow.
Almost 16 months when I did the math. So we went and saw A Quiet Place 2. So Joey and I are going to talk about that and talk a little bit just about like what it was like going back to the movies. And then we're going to have a group discussion about what we miss about the movies. Or missed in our case because we went back. We got a lot of news to talk about today. We're going to talk about the MGM buy from Amazon. We got some casting news to get through as usual. Some MCU stuff to get through. We're prepping for Loki. We got some Star Wars stuff on tap. It's going to be a good day. But it's been 2 weeks since we've recorded our last episode. So Fusion, what have you been up to?
Playing a little bit of this, a little bit of that, jumping in Rust, watching a little Grand Theft Auto RP. But I did jump in. I decided to catch up and rewatch the Star Wars prequels. And I did that. Watched Bad Batch. First half of season 1 of Sweet Tooth as well. So been busy, man. Also, when we wrap up this show, I just downloaded about 18 months of comic books that I haven't been able to catch up on. So after we're done here, I'm gonna go grab dinner and just start reading a shitload of comics, man. I mean, just yeah, because I think I told you I was very sad, kind of like around 2010 to about 2018. The comics just weren't very good. They were focused way too much on keeping things stylized to the TV shows and the movies, and I had enough of that. But apparently, they've Marvelous at screw all that. We're writing comics. The comic book line is going to be comic book storytelling. We're not going to worry about matching it to these productions. I want to catch up on all that, especially the X-Men. Got a lot of X-Men stuff to catch up on. Yeah, that's what I've been up to, and that's what I'm going to be jumping into after this.
That sounds like a good time. I need to get caught up on comic books one of these days.
Yep.
Always one of those. I really do mean to. Like for Christmas, I got Red Sun and the Injustice run from Tom Taylor, and I've been meaning to actually go through the trade of it, but I don't have the time. All right, so moving on, Joey, you're our guest. What have you been up to, my man?
Oh geez. Right now rebuilding or making a room to put all my computer stuff in. As you see, I'm kind of like in a weird little area I can sit up in. Almost done with that. Just gotta get flooring and stuff in. That's been taking up most of my time. Painting minis. Recently rewatched the Hobbit trilogy, the uncut, everything. That took like a good 10 plus hours
Why would you do that to
watch.
yourself?
It was good.
Joey,
I actually
you
enjoyed
fell
it.
asleep in the midnight premiere of that movie.
Excuse?
I had to
was
wake you up.
concussed.
That
I
was
was
Dread.
concussed.
You're
I was Dread. Damn it. Yeah, you're
Joey
correct.
is
Yep.
the guy who went and saw fucking Dread while he was concussed, and because he'd gotten hit with a fucking beer bottle in the face, and he went and saw
It was
Dread,
rough.
and he threw up. Like, why? Why did you go see
It was
this
a good-
movie?
Still a good movie.
Whoa. You were concussed while watching Dread. All right.
Yeah,
I mean,
what a bad movie to be concussed in. It's
I mean,
very
yeah,
loud.
right? I wish I would have been concussed when I went to go see the fucking Hobbit. You know? It was-
Yeah.
I don't know. It was different with because it was a full uncut, and
almost
I
makes
don't
it
know. I
worse.
enjoyed it.
I want to see the fan edit. Apparently, there's like a really good fan edit that trims it down into like a 3-hour movie, like the whole
like all
thing,
three of them?
and it cuts out like a whole bunch of side plots that do nothing. I'm curious to see how that looks, but
Can you imagine after like I don't know, whatever the trademark expiration like for renewals hits on an IP, that just basically the masters can become public domain and people can just create their own edits out of all the raw material. Like I would just like to see a fucking raw material like of Superman 2.
yeah,
Like,
I'd love to see
fan
like
cut of
movies
Superman
get recut. You know, Be
Yeah.
dope.
That'd be great to see. Just
Apparently, there's some great fan cuts, like the Star Wars prequels. What is it? Topher Grace is like actually like a legitimately great editor, and he's apparently put out this cut that like tons of people in Hollywood have seen, and they're like, "This is so much better than what Lucas gave us,"
Yeah,
and
they were,
it's
like,
just
tweeting
using theatrical.
about this, like, oh my god, Topher's cut version is so great, and everyone's like, where the fuck is it?
Why can't we see it? Yeah, we want it. Yeah, release the Topher cut, okay?
Yeah, release the Topher cut. Yes.
I can see the hashtags now.
Get it trending, please.
Exactly.
No.
But
No, yeah, but that's what I'm up to. Really, it's gonna happen that.
Yeah, for those of you who don't know Joey, he's a D&D nerd, so he takes painting minis seriously.
Yeah.
In fact,
here's
when we
my
went and saw A Quiet Place 2, we had to stop at a hobby shop so he could buy new stuff.
It's accurate. I didn't have the spray painted ones. I was quite upset, but way besides the point.
Yep. Okay, so that's kind of our cut. Oh, for me, I've been playing the Mass Effect Legendary. I'm up through Mass Effect 2. I have one DLC left. It's the Arrival DLC, which is like a direct lead-in into Mass Effect 3. Which I completely missed this DLC the first time I played the game, Mass Effect 3. I had no idea what the fuck was going on. You blow up a fucking Mass Effect relay, you kill like hundreds of thousands of aliens. But it is like the right choice, because if you don't, millions will die. Like at the exact same time. But I didn't realize in canon that you had done that. So all of a sudden you're like arrested in Mass Effect 3. You've been in prison for like a year, and I'm like, what the fuck happened? That was not how I left my game, and I totally missed it. But it's a really fun DLC, so I'm excited to play that again. Lucifer season 5B, 5.5, whatever. I watched that, and it was shockingly emotional in some parts, mostly because DB Woodside is his voice. Like when his voice cracks, you're gonna cry. Yeah. It's just gonna happen. And Dennis Haysbert as God, excellent casting, just excellent.
I got to throw this in here about Dennis Haysbert. I know him as Pedro Serrano, of course. That's how I know him. Okay, or the president in 24. Okay, yeah. I know those are the two places that. But for my wife, whenever he comes on camera, there's two. Can you think of one?
The Allstate guy.
The fucking Allstate guy. But two, he was the guy in was it Waiting to Exhale, where he the one of the characters, she had an affair with him. So he's the bad guy. So yeah, my wife always refers to him as the bad guy, and I'm like, no, he's the fucking president. Yeah. He's President Palmer.
That or he's the guy who swears at Jabuntu, and he'll do it himself.
Yep.
Or is it Jobu?
Jobu.
Yeah, he'll do it himself. I rewatched the ending of Major Leagues 1 and 2, just on YouTube a few days ago. God, they're fucking great. But the walkouts for Charlie Sheen in both those movies, excellent.
So you watched a half season or a?
No, just a YouTube clip.
Or no, Lucifer. You'll see.
Yeah, they released it in 5 and then 5B. Because they paused due to COVID.
Yeah.
So they put out the first. It was supposed to be a 20-episode season, I think.
Yeah,
and then they did 10, and then came back to shoot the last 2. Which you could tell there's one episode. Oh, they shot this one during like really pared down COVID, because the guy in Supernatural who played God was like the assassin in this episode. He has no lines, doesn't talk to anybody, and like dies like in a montage. Like, yeah, it was definitely a COVID shoot. It was very much so.
Flash did 2 episodes, and then they had to postpone for like 6 months because of COVID.
Yeah,
that's why Grant Gustin comes back jacked, because he gained like 30 pounds of muscle.
Yeah,
in that period, because he was just waiting, so he decided just to get on a training regimen, and he gained like 20-something, 30 pounds of muscle.
That's great.
And so that's why he looks a little different in episode from 2 to 3. You could tell in the suit he looks a little like not bulkier, but like he looks a little like actually like an actual hero, like a comic book hero.
Yeah,
because he gained. So it was kind of interesting. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, that's mostly when Infusion. We talked about the Bad Batch, so I finally got caught up on the few episodes I missed of that, and then watched yesterday's as we pushed the recording to Saturday. So I had time to watch it. I'm caught up on all that. That's been our 2 weeks.
Yep.
Let's get into some news a little quick. All right, so speaking of some small hit, we mentioned the casting news. We had some Marvel stuff coming out. We got a lot of Marvel stuff, actually. Yeah. Bunch of stuff has came out in regards to the MCU. Of course, we got Loki next week.
Yep.
So that's starting Wednesday, because they moved all their scheduling up to Wednesday. So now it's going to be Marvel on Wednesdays, Star Wars on Fridays, just to not mess with any film releases. And for the MCU, they actually confirmed via a set photo of him in the CGI like getup that Mark Ruffalo is going to be in She-Hulk, like filming new scenes, not just going to be like flashback stuff like used from prior footage, which is pretty cool. I assumed they were going to like cut him in or just reference him, but I'm appreciating that we're going to get Banner Hulk probably.
More than likely.
Which makes sense in canon. And it's a way to get around Universal owning the IP, him just being the side character. If he's not the main, they can't do anything about it. In addition, we had Thor, Chris Hemsworth dropping the set from Thor 4, Love and Thunder. of that photo where he's just absolutely jacked out of his mind.
Jesus, man.
Like his arm is so big. Like I saw the photo and it's like, yeah, he's not flexing. He's just that fucking jacked right now because he's gonna play Hulk Hogan. And so he's doing those, I think, back to back.
Yeah, he did Hogan. He did the Hogan biopic first,
and then he moved right into Thor.
Literally days later, when they wrapped, like 2 or 3 days later, they wrapped. He immediately jumped into Thor 4. So
So he's insanely huge right now.
Yeah.
And he's standing next to Taika, who's like, not like, I mean, he's skinny, but he's not like a small human.
Oh, he's like 6'4" or something.
Yeah, he's a taller guy, and he just makes him look like a twig, like absolute twig. And even Hulk Hogan's like, yeah, that looks about right. like, yeah, that looks about as jacked as I was back in the day.
Yep.
So I'm very curious to see that. Basically, I'm assuming we're gonna get a montage of him either working out in the beginning with Chris Pratt, and they're both gonna get jacked for the movie.
Yeah.
Like in a montage, they're gonna play it as a comedy of them working out, and Fat Thor's gonna be gone.
Oh yeah.
Or he's just gonna show up and be jacked, and like, what?
You just wished it all away. It's
What?
like, yeah, we do that.
We self-actualize.
Yeah.
Bam. Like I don't know how the Asgardian physiology works.
What I think is going to play out is because I don't know if you've seen photos of like Pratt's new movie, and as they're getting ready for Guardians 3, he actually has leaned out even more than what he was before in the first Guardians, because he was jacked in the first Guardians.
Mm-hmm.
I think in Guardians
he was huge.
2, yeah, in Guardians 2 he got kind of chunky, and in Infinity War you could tell he can kind of just let himself go a little bit, and then he got jacked again for the sequel to Jurassic World, and but I saw recent photos of him right before they started filming Thor 4, and he looked really, really lean, like really.
Well, he was shooting a military shooder, the Tomorrow War for Amazon.
Yep, Amazon's movie. That's right. So maybe the montage is comical in that he's losing weight, and while he's losing weight, Fat Thor's just hanging around, and he's like, I'm busting my ass, and then Thor just shows up skinny, like, yeah, we could just, I could use black magic to just wish away the body.
I just didn't want to be fat anymore.
Yeah.
Like,
that would make sense. That would be the best way to do it, because we know that Thor 4 is going to be, there's going to be a lot of humor. And I know Joey's not a big fan of Ragnarok. Come on, we know Joey and Chris are not fans of Ragnarok. There's a big
I don't know why Chris hates it so much.
He hates it, doesn't he? Whenever we bring up Ragnarok,
I think he more hates that we shit on him for not liking it.
Probably.
That's probably more of what it is.
But yeah, he's just insanely jacked. Going from the Hogan movie right into this, he probably was like, just fuck it. Let me just keep this big, stay this big,
Yeah.
Because if you remember, when Christian Bale did Batman Begins, he had just wrapped up maybe 6 months from the Machinist, and he had got down to
when he was
150 pounds.
Yeah, he was deathly skinny.
Like when
I was in the hospital, kind of skinny.
So but in Batman Begins, he's 200 pounds, like around 200, 205, right? People don't know this, but he went from 150. He had got so big, he had gotten up to almost 240 pounds within 6 months, right at the beginning. And they postponed production for a month so he can lose mass. They wanted him to lose a bunch because
he didn't fit in the suit.
No, he didn't fit in the suit because he was up to almost 240 pounds, and Nolan was like, yeah, you're way too fucking big, man. He had gotten super jacked for it, and so he had to lose 20 some odd pounds of muscle within 6 weeks before they started shooting. Yeah,
this is freaking crazy.
Christian Bale's an insane person.
Yeah,
he is, and he got really fat for Cheney.
Yeah,
he got fucking big.
Oh man.
Yeah.
But seriously though, the things these guys do for the show, I respect it, man. I respect the hustle. They want to make sure that they encapsulate the character. I respect it as long as this guy doesn't lose his mind, fucking lifting weights between each scene,
Yeah,
So,
and for me, it's more as long as long term, he's not roiding up like Stallone used to do, and Schwarzenegger did, but that was just part of the scene. I'm curious.
that was Hollywood in the 80s. Man.
That's what it was. It wasn't
You gotta
just
be
specifically
open-sized.
those guys. Everybody did it. I know it's still not super healthy. You listen to Jackman talk about how they shot the coming out of the water scene, and he's like, I literally almost died of dehydration. That's not healthy at all.
That 32-hour dehydration, the whole process he went through. Fuck me, man.
Yeah.
I don't think it wasn't for Origins in the scene. It was for the shirtless scene in the Wolverine. That's what that was for.
Yeah, the one where, yeah. in the Wolverine
should
when
have
he's
seen.
yeah
He fights Mariko's dad. Like that
yeah.
scene, he said
So
he went on a dehydration period of like 32 to 36 hours completely. He had no fluids in that period, and I'm like, "Shit,
yeah
That's pushing it. That's
man."
like putting your life on the line for the freaking
Right,
dude.
right.
yeah
Like yeah, like you said,
Jesus.
as long as they don't suffer any long term like damage to their like their internal organs, or I just I worry about that kind of stuff when I think like these are
Yeah.
the kind of things that I process with my OCD mind when I'm watching these things. I'm like, yeah, I know what that guy had to go through to get to that shape or that lean, like Bale and the Machinist, and I'm like, man, I wonder if he actually did some permanent damage to like his stomach or something. Because fuck me, but all that aside, like, look, Hemsworth is fucking jacked beyond belief, man, just jacked, and so I'm hoping it's fucking funny. Like they make a joke about it. If it's a recurring joke in Thor 4, I'm gonna enjoy it.
hmm I think they kind of have to with the meme status that Fat Thor reached with Endgame,
Right?
because that came out of so far left field. Because Marvel hit it, and you didn't
Yeah.
experience it until you saw the movie. Like that, it was a whole thing. Like that was like almost Big Lebowski levels big.
Okay, so we know Natalie Portman's Jane Foster's going to be in this movie, right? Because I
Mm.
mean, it's female Thor, right? Okay, what I'm hoping for is because we know that she dumped him somewhere between Age of Ultron and Fat Thor, right? We know somewhere around there. It's never been confirmed if she was part of the snap or not in Infinity War, but he brings her up in Endgame and kind of cries. What if he tries to get her back and he's still Fat Thor and she's like, I'm not having it. So he's like, okay, well I'm gonna go be Skinny Thor again, or Rip Thor, and that's his motivation right there, is to just
I could see that.
snap
There
it to
you
get
go.
to shape or something. He just flies out into the fucking cosmos for like a week, all the fat.
Yep.
I don't know, or he takes that elixir that what's her name was talking about in Endgame, Captain Marvel was. She can go to some faraway planet and get an elixir for Tony to get better. Remember?
Oh
I
yeah.
remember
Oh,
that.
I
Okay.
don't remember this.
There's just so many ways, but they have to make it a joke, right? It has to be a running gag.
Mhm. Oh,
Okay.
just lost my template. It just fell behind me.
Oh,
Okay.
Or just throwing a shake weight. That's what he uses. That's what I want. So I can just.
Yes. Well, we saw one of those in Ragnarok.
Yes, we did. Oh my
Carl
god.
Urban has one.
Yep.
Fuck.
Yeah, that whole behold my stuff.
Because so
So
we know the
good.
Guardians are going to make a cameo appearance in this
Yes.
movie, right?
Yes.
So what if they go to the remnants of where Asgard was and he finds the floating
Oh, dude.
the floating shake weight and he
They're
just takes
still
it
on Earth. They go to like a Gold's Gym or like a Planet Fitness, and it's the Guardians and Thor working out in a public gym. That feels like a Taika joke right there. That feels like a setup for a Taika scene right there.
There's just so many ways you can make this just a really good.
You got like
gag.
Raccoon sitting on the bar as he's trying to do bench press. Yeah.
Oh, good.
Oh, that'd be good. That'd be real good. Speaking of other casting news, though, so we can move on out of this Marvel hole, another fun one, crossing over some Star Wars casting that I was a huge fan of when Donnie Yen shows up in Rogue One. Excellent casting, because he's Donnie fucking Yen. He's going to show up in one of my favorite action movies and franchises ever, John Wick 4.
Oh man,
I'm so excited. Who was
Is he-
the guy in John Wick 3? The main antagonist?
wasn't Lawrence Fishburne? It was
The guy who's like his sycophantic fan who he fights.
yeah.
He's also a really great martial arts actor. And then we get a follow up with Donnie Yen. Like Donnie fucking Yen is gonna be in John Wick. Oh man. Oh, that's gonna be so great. I cannot wait for whatever fight scene they're gonna film.
The carnage we will see. Oh man.
Yeah.
I went
This
and
is
watched,
good.
I went and watched 1 and 2 right after we wrapped up the last episode. I just sat down one night and watched them. Like that night I actually watched them late. Man, John Wick is just so fucking good, man. God damn. Just everything about it's good. That first one where he's just telling Alfie Allen, his son,
Yeah.
he's like, he's the man that comes to kill the fucking boogeyman. It's like, oh, that's so great. And he's just like fucking digging in,
Yeah.
sledgehammer to the concrete in his fucking basement while he's telling him who he really is. Speaking of, I gotta throw this in because people are comparing it to John Wick. Nobody, really underrated movie.
I need to watch
guy.
that movie.
Really,
It's on my
gotta
list.
watch. We gotta watch Nobody with Bob Odenkirk.
Is that the I saw the trailer for it and it's like he kind of kicks some ass in like a bus scene?
Yeah.
Okay,
it's-
okay,
people are
yes.
comparing it to John Wick because of just the whole
I think
premise
it's the
of
same director of John Wick 1.
Really?
maybe,
Or was it the writer? One of the two. Like
Okay.
there was an actual back end production connection.
Yeah. And you get Christopher Lloyd in it. It's fucking great. He's great in it too. I mean, it's a great movie. It's not gonna blow you away like John Wick is nonstop action. This one's got a little bit more character depth, kind of in the with the protagonist. But Bob Odenkirk is like he's a believable action star with it. Like he just because he's kind of like buttoned down to action star, and so I can buy into it. Entertaining, highly recommended.
Yep.
Yeah.
John Wick has ruined most action movies for me because now I
Yeah,
look
that's
at
right.
fights and I'm like, oh, that's about 16 too many cuts. Like, give us solid takes of just complete ass kicking.
Yep.
So good. All right, we got
What-
two other things on my.
Stark does his own stunts, man. Come on, in his
Yeah.
own fight scene. That's what happens.
Dude, you got Keanu actually on a horse, fake shooting people in the head. Like,
Good shit, man.
Keanu is like Tom Cruise. He's
Yeah.
insane. He will like do crazy ass shit, and I love it.
I agree.
All right, two more things on the news for today. Fusion, you got one. We'll start with yours, and the other one
Okay.
we'll leave as a wrap-up discussion if we have time.
Sure. Probably my favorite comic book story is Why the Last Man. We've talked about it before, where they were putting this in production, and it kind of stood in limbo for years. It was originally going to be on FX. It was going to be a PG-13 style, and then a couple years ago, they recasted the main character, Brown, and they've actually finished the first season like a year and a half, almost 2 years ago, and it's just been sitting there. Well, they announced this week that they're going to release it out on FX for Hulu in September, and I'm very happy about that. I'm hoping that we get a rated R, like non-censored version of this show, because that's the only really real way you can flesh out the story, because there's a lot of adult content in the comic book that it's not like it doesn't center around it, but it really carries the narrative along and it works. So it has to be like just an unrated version, like if it were on Netflix or Amazon Prime Video. So I'm hoping it's not going to be FX styled FX. If it's just going to be like how Hulu let things fly on their shows, But very excited about this. Highly recommended in September. Why the Last Man? It's gonna be really good.
For someone that doesn't know anything about The Last Man, what is it about?
So short premise is just this one moment on the entire planet, every male creature with the Y chromosome just instantly dies on the spot. Everything, animal, every mammal, just anything that's male just dies,
Yeah.
except for one man, and his name is York Brown, and his pet monkey named Ampersand. And they're just basically, it just talks about rebuilding the entire society all across the globe with just women, and just how he's the only man. And there's a whole backstory that goes into it, but it's somewhat political in some aspects of it, but it's more of just a real cold piece, just about surviving. And because I've read books in the past about what would happen if all men were just left and all women disappeared, or if all you read these kind of like short stories, but they do a really good, entertaining, just long 6-year story about this whole thing, and how they get to where they could just reset mankind, you know, with one man. But there's a lot of backstories that go along the way, a lot of branches. But
Okay.
it's a really good story, really interesting premise. It came out in early 2000s. I didn't really buy into it. Like I read the first issue and I was like, hey, this is different. At the same time, 100 Bullets that came out, Brian Azzarello's story, and that's really good story that one day, hopefully on Netflix. But came out at the same time, two completely different stories and concepts. But it was that whole pushing out of the whole just telling a story that's not strictly about superheroes. Kind of keeping things a little more reality based.
That was one
which
of like the creator-owned comics, like push,
Yeah.
like creators owning their own IP stuff.
Yep. And so Brian K. Vaughan wrote this story from start to finish. I forget her name. Pea Guerrero. She's the inker for the entire series from start to finish too. But it's a really good story, Joe. If you ever want, just let me know. I have all the copies like on digital format. I could just swing them your way. You can read them. But it's a really good story, and I've been really excited. They were going to do a movie a long time, and they were going to put Shia LaBeouf as the lead, and I'm like, oh, that's just not a good fit, man. Not a good fit. I don't want to hear no. Deal with that guy. But the overall cast looks really good, and I think it's going to be a good one. It's going to be a good show on Hulu. I have confidence.
Yeah. I like what Hulu's produced so far, with like big shout out to like Little Dicky and stuff like that. Or my name is, oh god dang it. Oh, I can't remember the name of it. But yeah, you've got the Little Dicky production, and then they came out with Letterkenny. Also, again, I'm just very impressed with what they've done.
Yeah, they've done a good job there. And the Runaways isn't actually bad. Runaways, the Marvel Universe one, not bad.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah,
nice.
I'm really excited about that one. Why the Last Man
Yeah.
coming in September
Nice,
on Hulu.
man. Check it out.
Okay. So the last bit of news we're going to talk about, but I'm going to put a pin in right away so we
Yeah.
can get to our main topic, is
Let's do
the
this.
MGM purchase of, or Amazon, MGM being bought by Amazon for $8.45 billion.
Ooh.
We're going to circle back to that at the end as we have a discussion to wrap up where we think that might go.
Sure.
Because the first discussion we have of the larger topics is Joey and I going to see A Quiet Place Part 2 for our first time going to the movies in like 15 to 16 months.
Yeah, forever.
It was
Jesus.
awesome. Like, it had been so long. Like, we went and saw, it was Birds of Prey.
Birds of- Yeah.
Was that in Mason we saw that? Or was that
I want
Algona?
to say it was in Algona because I was disappointed in like
The
the
theater's not as
theater.
good.
Yeah,
It's like
but it was
newer,
definitely
but
one we
it's
should
not
have
as
seen in
nice.
LDX.
Yeah, that movie was like legitimately very good.
Yeah, no, the movie itself great, but like the way the theater is in Algona is not the best. And
Yeah, Algona's a shitty town. Like,
yeah,
they can't even keep a KFC.
I mean, yeah, that's true. That KFC got kind of real bad near the end.
Well,
yeah.
like-
you can't keep the KFC. There's something wrong with your town.
Yeah, well, I know that's the only place to get like chicken. Like, nobody wants chicken. Fucking crazy people.
Right?
Fucking crazy people. And it's like half an hour, so we have to drive half an hour to Algona or an hour to Mason City.
Yeah,
Like, we're in the middle of fucking nowhere for movies. It sucks.
literally.
But the theater in Mason City is fantastic. Not quite as good as like Movie House. That was the one, right? In that you go to.
Yeah, the one we went to go watch Spider-Man.
Yeah. Not quite as good as that, but like really just a solid movie going experience.
Yeah, Joe,
So we went and saw that, and we saw that. I think it was opening weekend. Yeah, it would have been the 29th. We saw it on Saturday.
Mhm.
I wasn't feeling great, so we missed opening day. But we saw that. It was a pretty sparsely populated theater. But globally, the movie's actually doing really well. It almost hit like 60 million, I think, US in the
Nice.
opening weekend, which set a
Awesome.
pandemic record, of course.
Yeah.
But it like even
Well,
without
yeah.
the pandemic, that's a really good amount for a horror movie to make, because it's
Yeah.
cheaper to make the movies. And I think it's already made its money back.
Good.
So it was a really, for me, just a good time at the movies. So Joy, what did you think of A Quiet Place Part 2 as a movie?
Entertaining. I just love the way the Quiet series 1 and 2 are shot. Like, there's a lot of scenes where there's like not a lot of talking, but like good visual, kind of like not effects, but like visual, just like
Visual
how the
storytelling.
camera and everything. Yeah, visual storytelling. Thank you. And I don't know, Quiet Place 1 and 2, I'd probably rate them about the same, just being really good movies.
Okay.
Quiet Place 2, you get a little more. They go a little bit before the aliens arrive to build like another character's backstory, or just
Yeah.
kind of fill him in some. So when he shows up, and then they kind of talk more about when people during this, like how they can go a little crazy and all the good stuff. And I don't know, it's actually a very entertaining movie. I was gonna say, theater experience was great to go back and just get a cherry cola and some pop or dots again. I haven't had dots in 15 months, man.
Yeah, that is your go-to movie theater food. But Fusion,
Yeah.
have you seen A Quiet Place?
Yeah, I liked it and I really enjoyed it. That the couple ensemble production that they did, Krasinski and Blunt.
Mhm.
Yeah, I really liked it. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to this one. I'm not gonna say I'm scared to go to the theater. It's just I just haven't been motivated at this point to go to the theater. Like
Mhm.
with Black Widow, I want to see it, but I can watch this one at home.
Yeah,
Honestly,
that one they're offering day and date digital. So
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Shang-Chi they're not. So
Shang-Chi, they're not. That's going to be only in theater. We had to do something. We're working on doing something about
yeah,
that.
we've got a
So
plan,
we've got a plan of action.
and
for
it
that.
will coincidentally be right around the time for year one of the pod. Like we've been doing the whole podcast for a year.
Yeah,
Great timing.
Yeah. great timing. Yeah, perfect timing. Think about that. But yeah, I just haven't been motivated to go yet. I may decide to go like to an early showing of Dune, maybe, where
Yes,
it's,
Dune
probably,
is something I
like,
want to see in theaters.
yeah, just because it's such a mammoth of a mammoth of a production in terms of like the landscape of the what the film's going to be, I think I'd feel more comfortable in the theater. So
And the
that's
director
probably
of that movie, Denis
Villanueva.
Villanueva,
Yeah,
that's how you say his name. His movies are just stunningly cool. Like
yeah.
every movie he's made, you're like, that movie on a big screen, holy fuck. Good
Did
lord.
he get like a major composer too? A major composer for that?
Yeah, I can't remember who it was, but it's like this movie, you are going to want to see it on the screen.
Yep.
Just for that
Well,
experience of just
I'm really
awe
excited
and
for that.
wonder of like, oh my god,
So
I'm
that'll
watching
probably be
art.
yeah, that'll be
What
probably when I decide to go back to the theaters to watch Dune. Yeah.
what other movies has he made? I don't see if I've seen
Blade
this
Runner
guy.
2049,
Oh, shit,
Arrival,
okay, yeah.
and was it
Arrival.
Sicario?
Think it was. Yeah,
Sicario, the one with the hostages rescue? No, I don't think
It's border skirmish.
Yeah.
Okay.
Javier Bardem. I think Emily Blunt.
think so. Think so.
I never saw it, but I saw the other two. Arrival was one of the dopest sci-fi movies of the last 50 years.
Yep.
Like, holy shit, that was good.
Blade Runner 20 is just amazing. Like it's a great
Yeah.
sequel that took 30 years to make, but fuck it, it was worth the wait.
Yeah,
Like,
and it's
so-
absolutely gorgeous. Like, so
Yeah.
many shots of that movie I want as moving wallpapers. They're like just perfect shots. Like, the guy's amazing with the camera.
yeah. So
So I want to see that one.
it'll
But
probably be Dune when I go back into the theater, and I'll probably be I'm sorry, the movie house tavern, and it'll probably be like an early showing, like a really early showing, so it's like kind of a minimal, like the amount of people in the off. I might even take like the morning off from work. That way I can just kind of ease my way in, guys. Like I'm just easing my way back in. Like my wife and I went to brunch today, and it was like the first time she's sitting out in a restaurant in 15 months. So it's like it kind of hit her. She's like, wait. And I've picked up food at a restaurant. It was actually the first time I sat down too. So it kind of easing our way back into things.
yeah, and you're around a lot more people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
We're in the middle of nowhere.
Well, I'm in Texas. I'm in the state of a lot of shitheads. Let's be real.
That's
And I have,
accurate.
I'm like, our shithead cousins, Florida and Texas, like they're kind of this duo of the South that kind of just play the banjo and do stupid shit all day long. I'm kind of just like, yeah, I'm gonna ease my way back into slowly. Not gonna jump in. We're not gonna go like to a party or anything. We're not going to any wet T-shirt contest anytime soon.
Ah, damn it.
Yeah, sorry, Joe. I know you were looking forward to coming down and
I was, dang.
catching the Texas wet T-shirt.
I'll put my t-shirt back then.
Yeah, save it for next year.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
I'm
back
glad
to
you guys-
A Quiet Place, since we
Yep.
kind of went on a tangent. I really enjoyed the movie. It was a unique thing where like it was a movie that I didn't think was like really begging for a sequel. It had set
Yeah.
itself up for one, like with them discovering how to actually kill the aliens. But it was such a down-to-earth, one family story that I was worried once they got a sequel, oh, are they going to go too big? Like, are they going to go absolutely insane? Like, I don't know if you plan to watch it, so I won't spoil it. But there's always the temptation, like Independence Day was a sequel that was another one that didn't need to be made, but had potential as a sequel. But they went way too fucking crazy with it. Like, completely kind of broke the world by doing it. Like, you need to, if you're doing a sequel to a sci-fi story, or really any story, you got to stay within the rules that your first one set up. You can expand them and broaden them or add in new rules, but you can't break what came before.
Yeah.
Independence Day as a sequel broke it. Like, it was just, and it sucked as a movie anyway, but it broke a lot of the rules of like how shit worked, like just the technology and such. Whereas this movie takes its time and only really inches out the expansions of the world. Like Joey said, there's a opening sequence that does go back, which is in the trailer, so it's not really a spoiler, where you see the actual initial like wave, like the holy shit, everyone freaking out moment. And then you cut back to the family immediately after Quiet Place Part 1. Like what happens there. Like you're picked up on the farm, the baby's just been born, and the barn's on fire. Like it's a direct pickup after that opening flashback. And then you see just really slowly start to inch out this world. Like you flesh out the town that they were living in. You flesh out the family and friends around them, and in particular one friend and his family that are you find out what happened through cues on the wall, like things he's drawn or things like little hints he drops about what happened to his family. And instead of doing something crazy like getting the military involved, now they just need to go find a radio station. Like in that, so it's like a small incremental increase in the world that still builds and leaves you on a space where you could get to a part 3 if they ever wanted to. I don't know if it will get one, but I would be curious to see where they go with the franchise because it's a really cool, unique like sci-fi horror apocalypse movie that kind of hits a niche that the things aren't doing. Like it's unique premise. Like you can't make sound. Like that's something straight out of like a sci-fi like novel from back in the day, and it's being executed in a really really cool way cinematically with this series. So I'm hoping we get a part 3. I'm just not sure if there will be a demand for it, but I would have figured that around the first one getting a sequel too. So who knows?
Yeah, very shocked about that. I gotta say this. Like I'm sure Joey and I are probably on the same wavelength here. I think the one thing you think about is like trying to survive without making noise. Is like, God, what if I have to fucking fart, man? Oh,
Dude, I have
God.
Crohn's. What do you think I'd do?
Oh yeah,
I'd be
yeah.
fucked.
Like
I would
seriously,
specifically
man.
build a room to fart in. There'd be no reason not
Out
to.
of the room, you just start walking downstairs.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Let's go back out. Right. Like,
I was like,
seriously.
shit.
I mean, that's one of the things I think about. It's like, man, if I fart, like, yeah, dude. Seriously, if I'm eating all these canned beans to try to survive in a post-apocalyptic world, oh, gonna have fast gas. Great.
Let's be honest, the diet's not going to be the best. So you're going to eat a lot of meat and
Yep.
stuff that you catch. So it's just going to go straight through you. It's
straight
a
through
lot
you.
of noise. It's like, oh,
We're lucky these aliens aren't attuned to smell, because like then I'd be definitely screwed. Be like, sorry
Yeah.
guys, that's me. Like, yeah.
Just going to walk out. Like, nope. Peace out, nerds.
So yeah, to continue on our Quiet Place thing, I was just pulling up a couple articles I had found on it about how like Krasinski had like they essentially really wanted to make it as a continuation for the kids in the movie, not so much since he was dead from the first one. Could have made it a vehicle for his wife Emily Blunt, who's a fantastic actress, but eventually he decided no, we want it to be the hero focus on the daughter, who is actually a deaf actress, I believe. Millicent Simmons, and she really carries the movie. Her and who was the other dude? Is it Cillian Murphy? Is that who it is? Quiet Place Part 2. Sorry, I'm terrible at prepping. He plays another father that meets up with the family and like helps them out. Like
he's in like the beginning
Cillian
part.
Murphy.
Yeah,
that's who it is.
He was fantastic.
trailers.
Like those two, because they pair up and are with each other for acts 2 and 3 essentially of the movie.
Yeah.
They're awesome together. Like I would love to see a sequel with them still going on a road trip to like find more people and like really broaden out the world a little more, because it does establish that it is on the East Coast and it's in like Maine-ish or possibly Virginia, because they talk about like the mountains, so I'm guessing the Appalachians. So it depends on how far north you would go for that to be accurate. But it sure seems like it's an actual coastal town. Maybe it's like the Chesapeake Bay. I don't know. But it was just I just can't say enough that I really enjoyed the movie. Not quite for me as tense as the first one. That first one, when she steps on the nail.
I was about to fucking say that.
That scene alone makes me tense up just thinking about it.
Yeah.
Because it is hard to watch. And giving birth scene. Like those two scenes. And there's no scene in this movie that hits quite as hard as when you realize the kid turned on the truck that like lights up, or the space shuttle I think it is that lights up, and the parents realize it, and everyone realizes the kid's dead, and Krasinski still tries to go run to save him but doesn't get there.
Yeah,
like that scene hits so hard. Doesn't quite hit that high as a movie, Quiet Place Part 2, but it's damn close. So I highly recommend watching it, even if you can't go in theaters. Get it, turn on the lights, crank up the sound, and then don't make a sound, and watch the movie. There's a lot of fun. But so yeah, we were talking about, me and Joy were talking after the movie, but like, man, it had been weird going to a movie. Like, I hadn't held in a pee that long in 16 months. Like, get out of the movie, it's like, holy shit, I had to piss. Like, we went to KFC, to bring up KFC, we went and got food right before, and then to the movies. So I finished a Mountain Dew and had a Dr. Pepper all during a 2.5 hour stretch. Man, I had to go to the bathroom so bad. But I didn't fucking feel it. I didn't feel it. So we stood up and was like, oh, I gotta go to the bathroom. And then I just had the biggest piss in months. Like, just standing at the urinal like, man, I had to go. I didn't realize that. That is just one of those like small things like, man, yeah, I haven't had to do that since last time we saw a movie.
Yeah, it's funny.
Because at home you don't do that. It's just not a thing.
No.
Nope. Man, like I had to wear jeans a while back, and for like an hour, and I'm like, okay, now that I'm done, I'm putting back on my gym shorts. Like, screw this, I'm back. I realized how uncomfortable denim was. Fuck this, it's not comfortable, man. Like,
No.
just give me the gym shorts, you know.
I've got a big game changer. If you're always gonna wear blue jeans a lot, there's something called like the flex pants or whatever. Just buy those, wear those. Fucking
Okay.
life changing.
You know who makes really good like high end flex pants? Lucky Brand does have some. Like they make some flex
Really?
pants. Yeah, yeah. You buy them like $100 a pair, but like if you want to go out and look kind of nice in that, like with your
Yeah.
jeans, but you still want them to be a little stretchy, they make some like they're not like elastic stretchy like you're 8 years
Yeah.
old, but they're like flex pants, and so yeah,
Yeah.
I have a couple pairs of those too. But I had to wear straight up denim for like a casual business thing, and I was like, let me get these things off, man. Like, I just no, I want to go back. I want to go back to my gym shorts. I've been wearing them for 12 months now, straight, the same pair. I'm wearing them right now.
Over
Yeah.
and over. And over.
I rotate my
The
two pairs.
scent.
I got my Vikings pairs, my Hawkeye pair.
I'm not the only one. All right, good.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I
I
still
You
mean,
guys
I
are
have,
all
I have like
animals.
6 pairs. I have like 6 pairs. I wear one to the pool, to the gym and stuff, but then this Nike pair gets right back on because this is my go-to, like right here, man. I'm here 8 hours working or playing games, just like, yep, it's Nike shorts.
Mhm.
Yeah.
All right, so I
Well,
think we've
and-
exhausted that specific topic. We got one left to talk about. Big topic number 2. That is Amazon buying MGM for $8.45 billion. MGM, of course, being the studio that has the rights to the James Bond film, not TV, which would need to be negotiated with the estate, I think, because there actually isn't currently anything in the works for them on that front. They
No.
own things like The Handmaid's Tale, which is a big Hulu property. Old school films, I think still, one of the few older ones they have is still 12 Angry Men, which is a legitimately great movie. We watched that in school, and a bunch of people, my friends kind of checked out because it's high school. And I was like, damn, this is actually a good movie. Like, shit. That was like a really, let's say, textbook case of how you tell a movie in one room. And it was really good. Because they really don't leave the room much that I recall. There's some like scenes where they remember the court case that happened prior to the movie, but it's all like from one perspective, and it's a really cool movie. Like Vikings, which is another newer show. They have
Good
some
show.
reality shows like The Voice and Shark Tank, which actually some fair amount of stuff that airs on Disney properties right now. That being ABC and Hulu, The Handmaid's Tale and Shark Tank specifically. But for me, one of the big ones is Stargate. They own all the movies and shows and everything that's happened from that franchise, which 10 years ago would have been like probably 1B to the James Bond stuff, because that's when it was at its peak. It's definitely cooled off in the wake of Stargate Universe not being, setting the world on fire. But man, like you got the James Spader movie, you got 10 seasons of the show, 5 seasons of Atlantis, and then 2 seasons of Universe. I think 3 movies or 2 movies out of the main show.
2, I think.
Yeah,
2.
you had the Arc of Truth and Continuum, the time travel one. But it's a really fun franchise that I'm a huge fan of. I really like the a little more grounded sci-fi, but still telling, extraordinary stories with spaceships and shit. But I really love the ship designs. The human ship designs in Stargate are fucking cool. Those are cool looking ships. So out of this, them buying them for $8.45 billion, what do you think's gonna happen with all this going on Fusion? I know the 2 weeks before we had just talked about the AT&T Discovery merger, which how has a name? It's like Warner Bros. Discovery.
Yeah.
And it's like an old school Superman 2 kind of like poster with the 3D font, which I'm like, that's the name you went with? Fine. I don't know why you wouldn't have just called it like Warner Plus.
Yeah, yeah.
That's simpler. 2 less words. Works. People still know what Warner is. Discovery gets confused with Discovery Channel. Like just Discovery Channel, so that's some brand confusion. What
I
do
believe
I
it's
know?
called Discovery Plus.
Yeah, like that's where they're merging with, and it's like, well, I would have just said fuck both names. Here's a new name that still tells you kind of what it is, and that's Warner Plus.
They should have just called it HBO Premiere. Stick with like.
But that's the weird thing with that. Like, what the fuck are they gonna? You just rebranded HBO Max. You're adding new tiers to that. Now you're doing a merger. Everyone's gonna be confused as fuck with this.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So at some point, you got to just pull the ripcord and make something new.
Okay. Well, so you're saying just kill off HBO's brand?
No, you revert HBO to being its own thing.
Okay. So it's its own channel under this production, this
Which it
streaming
already
network.
was. Like
Yeah,
HBO now was a thing.
Yeah. And HBO now was much better than HBO Go, but
Yeah.
HBO still was a pioneer in terms of how they stream because they were one of the first ones to stream live. What was
Yeah, they
on
were
the
concurrent live streams.
Yeah.
Yeah, like they would drop
Oh.
during the original launch time.
Yeah.
Broke
it's
the app a
crazy.
few times because Game of Thrones was so popular, but
Yeah. But you've left out some big ones. You brought up, but don't forget the Rocky franchises in that
oh shit,
bundle.
yeah, I forgot about the Rocky.
Argo, the TV show and the series and the movies.
Yeah, they have a lot of
Real
Coen Brothers stuff.
A lot of Coen Brothers stuff. Real Housewives is another huge reality show that they now own as well. They just man, like for me, it's impactful in that it's a ton of older IP that they're gonna get, post 80s, and what it also signals to me is that Netflix has to get off their ass and do something with the Warner Discovery merger as well, with all with these big companies purchasing these IPs. Netflix has to do something. They have to do something, whether it's sign up a partnership with with Vertigo, with other independent labels out there, comic labels, to do more productions like Sweet Tooth. Do like we've said this several times now. Do announce a fucking Hellboy animated voicing Hellboy again, and people will fucking come to you in tens of millions of people will new subs back over to Netflix. But they need to Netflix has to do something now because they're being left behind. They've always had to license the productions. They've had to license these brands over the years. Now all these IP owners are pulling them away slowly and slowly and slowly. They're going to have to partner. They're going to have to keep partnering up, or they're going to have to spend money and acquire something there. Like you said last episode, either it's do a partnership or buy out Paramount or CBS, or Peacock, some type of partnership with Universal and Peacock. They're going to have to do something. They have to do something at this point, right?
I think the only other major one I could see for studio side being bought is with like Lionsgate.
That's Lionsgate's still out
because
there.
they're not. But the problem with them is they're not in the financial straits that MGM were. MGM was had financial problems. They had a lot of debt, and a lot of it was tied up in the James Bond stuff. But so they weren't in as good a position to stay independent as like a Lionsgate and Legendary.
Legendary.
Somebody own Legendary? Are they under Universal?
I was gonna say Universal, but I may be wrong.
Sorry, we're talking on our ass. It's kind of our thing.
Yeah,
Legendary Films.
Out of Burbank. No, parent Wanda Group is the parent organization, so I think they're their own thing.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So they own like the Godzilla productions, but I think they have they may have some type of partnership with HBO.
Pacific Rim,
Yeah, because they got Dune, Godzilla vs. Kong, Pacific Rim.
Yep, which are on HBO Max. So maybe they have some type of agreement with HBO or Warner Media.
Oh, Legendary Pictures. That's what it is. I can't words. Good.
So good.
Yeah, since 2016 they've been a subsidiary of a conglomerate called Wanda Group. They had previously a partnership with Brothers, Universal, and so I'm assuming that Universal did not re-up their agreement because of them starting their own network with Peacock. So I think they just continued their partnership with Warner Brothers.
Yeah, they really are. They're a company that just does the co-financing stuff, kind of like MGM, where they co-finance things, but they're more or less their own entity.
But if Netflix wants to maintain their status as a big player, they're going to have to partner up or acquire something out there.
Exactly.
And I don't think they're not going to be able to. They're not going to be able to buy out Universal because Universal's owned by Comcast, and
Dude,
Comcast
they got Fast and Furious money.
Well, not only that, but it's Comcast.
Exactly.
They own like a third of the internet in the entire country. They're not going to. They don't want to get rid.
Their valuation would be insane because of their modern IP, like Jurassic Park, Fast and Furious. Like those alone would dwarf this MGM purchase.
Now, a partnership with Comcast and Netflix would be really smart for both parties because of branding power with Netflix. It's just no one. I don't know, Joe. Do you watch Peacock at all? Because I don't.
No.
I watched one episode of the new Saved by the Bell, and I was like, my time
Yeah.
reevaluate.
No,
Yeah, they missed the boat.
yeah. I think Peacock probably will get purchased up by someone because I mean I don't think they're doing well number wise,
But
but
it's still owned at the end of the day. It's owned by Comcast, and they're not
And they
going
don't
to get rid of
care
it.
because they can package it with their ISP,
Yep.
and they don't care. Like that, they're much like AT&T. They didn't have to care.
Nope.
AT&T decided not to. We're done. But Comcast, they could just let it sit forever, and they're gonna make money. Like they're not gonna lose money with it, because it's all more or less in-house stuff. Some stuff they're bringing over like House, but that was another one where it's like it was kind of co-financed with things. It aired on Fox, but it was like financed, kind of like Person of Interest was on CBS, but technically it was a Warner Brothers show. So it was kind of messy, and it's on. I think it's on their premium Peacock level. You have to pay Peacock to watch it without ads, or watch it in general.
Which is only like $5, but still.
It's not the worst. And they were still doing the WWE merger.
yeah, I was just reading
with
it right now.
Peacock.
Yep, it's done, and there are rumors right now because WWE has been laying off a lot of their big name talent. That Vince McMahon, there's rumors circulating that he's preparing to sell it to NBC. Like NBC wants to buy the WWE outright. They want to buy it outright.
And that would bolster Peacock quite a bit.
Yep. Now imagine if WWE, because they were one of the first with the streaming network, remember that, and their user interface was actually really good. I mean, it added bugs at the beginning, but their the accessing back catalog was really like user friendly. When they moved it over to Peacock, Peacock just basically took a shit all over it. WWE is not watchable right now, like old catalog. Now imagine all of that content, including WWE, going under Netflix, like a Universal and NBC banner under Netflix, kind of like HBO Max style. I mean, I think that would be a really good competitor to Disney and to Warner Brothers.
Because that's one of the few areas Disney stayed away from is wrestling.
Yeah.
Because they have sports. They got Hulu, Live Sports, ESPN. Yeah. Like that's kind of what their bag. But other than soccer, which is mostly in America, an NBC Sports thing, they haven't really done much with anything beyond their core, like American sports, and wrestling has not been a part of their strategy.
No. Yeah, it's just I don't think Disney finds it as family friendly as someone else.
And it's not.
No, and NBC has a long like Dick Ebersol and Vince have had a friendship that spanned like 40 something years, almost 50 years. So yeah, I could just see that like it makes sense for him to sell it to NBC. But it throws that whole that contract they signed with Fox just kind of in the shitter. You know?
That just happened, didn't they?
Like a year ago, year and a half ago. That's like $1 billion contract.
Yeah, like that's gonna be weird. Like I'm not sure how that all shakes out, because then like, do they break that contract? Or just like, do they pay Fox so they can? Is that part of the deal? Like, is Fox gonna make money out of this? Because then Fox doesn't technically exist anymore. Now it's Disney. Yeah, it's weird.
It's gonna be. Think about the irony of this, because in the golden age of television, we had 4 networks to watch television on, right? And then we may be having the golden age of streaming, where we're going to have 4 fucking networks, just 4 networks to stream all of our content on.
Yep,
it's starting to look like that. It really is.
Yeah. I mean, when I grew up, I only had the 4 channels, and plus IPTV, public television. Which Nova was really. I watched that as a kid. I was a science nerd. But yeah, like it's eventually. I think we're starting to see this domino start to fall of all the mergings. Like not start to. We've been seeing it for a while, but now I think it's going to start picking up the pace. Studios, those few independent movie studios, it's going to be hard to turn down those brink trucks when they back up and say, "Well, we'll buy you, and you can stay as your, keep CEO, keep your board, keep all your people. We'll just own you." Yeah. Like, kind of hard to turn that down. Then, of course, you get into the muddy waters of, like, who's like studio interference and stuff, which can happen. Looking at you, Warner Brothers. Be honest. Oh, man. But it'll be interesting to see what the next big one is, because we were talking during the AT&T Discovery. Okay, something's going to come down.
Yep.
Then this one drops. I'm wondering what the third one is. Like, what are we going to see before the end of the year?
I'm still calling. Netflix is going to do something. They have to do something.
But the thing is, with me, do they have the money? Like, the actual, like,
Yeah, that's
cash
the
to do it.
problem.
Apple
They operate in
does.
the red all the time. They always operate in the red.
Yeah, like Apple's got that cash.
Oh yeah, you called
Yeah, they
Apple. You
do.
called Apple last
Yeah,
night.
I
Last
think
time we
Apple's
talked about
gonna like straight up. If anyone's like gonna do like a buy a legendary for like making movies, it's gonna be like an Apple, like a tech company that has that. Like we just have the money right now.
yeah.
You know, like we
Well,
don't have to get new subs to be able to pay you. We can just drop a fucking bank on you. Like
Apple announces Apple Studios, and then they acquire for $10 billion cash Netflix.
yeah,
Like I mean,
they got that kind of money.
They have
Yeah.
that
Oh,
cash
easily.
overseas.
Fuck yeah, they do.
They have that much cash is sitting. They have more than that, twice that.
Yeah,
I can see
chilling.
that happening. Yeah, you're. Yeah, it's. I'm calling Netflix has to do something. You're thinking.
yeah.
It's gonna be
Netflix has
Apple.
to do something. I'm just not sure if they get into a serious arms race with money, like
Yeah,
in
they
the
don't
They
have.
lose.
Apple CEO being like getting involved of hey we're making some purchases. I don't know if they can keep up with an Apple. Wouldn't
Yeah.
shock me if they did. But people like the market's kind of not started to turn on Netflix, but they've stagnated. They're not growing at the rate they were. They're still not really turning a profit. And Apple's just getting started and hasn't really dumped a lot of money into their productions. So like they're not really losing money. And they're
Yeah.
Apple, much like a Comcast, they don't have to worry about losing money.
No.
Like the rest of their business more than offsets what they're doing in production. Like their margins are insane. They make so much money on everything else. Kind of like Microsoft with like Xbox. They don't have to worry about Xbox, the box turning a profit, as long as everything else does. They don't have to care. So I could see Apple doing something like that and just turning Apple TV into kind of like a loss leader, just to bring more people into the Apple ecosystem and like
Sure.
just to it'd be they're not gonna go like roughshod and pull a Netflix and here we're doing reality TV and we're doing all this random shit. That's not Apple's thing. I think they're going to continue that philosophy. We're going to create a few high quality shows in a year, which to me was kind of like the original pitch of Disney Plus. You know, like you're going to see a few premiere shows and then check out. Now they're really getting kind of nuts with what's all come to Disney Plus. But I don't see Apple actually crossing that line. I could see them being like, yeah, we're going to push like Ted Lasso. And we're maybe going to try things like they tried that one season of, was it Sight or See or something with Jason Momoa, where he couldn't see anything, like the whole world was blind except one person. But they tried and were like, that didn't work. Move on to something else. Clearly Ted Lasso worked, so Ted Lasso's back, which I'm very excited about.
Yes.
But yeah, I could see them, especially if they want to do movies. They haven't
Yeah.
really done a lot of movies yet. Obviously on the production, and that takes a lot more time, but I'm curious what they would do. I could see them if anyone's going to pull it, like, hey, we're going to buy Legendary.
No, you're right. When I think about it, of all the companies out there that can egregiously overpay, like even overpay Comcast to pull away the NBC Universal IP, it could be Apple. They're like, we could give you fucking twice what anybody else can cash for it. And if Comcast is willing to say, yeah, let's just be an internet provider. Let's just
let's go back to doing that.
Let's just do that. We're tired of having to manage the production stuff. They're going to pay us twice as much. Let's just do it, and because Apple has the cash for it. You're right, and you're right that they've shown a commitment to productions, to a production side of things for Apple. So yeah, man. I mean, I can see that, but I really think at the end of it all, for me, Netflix is going to have to.
Yeah, they got to do something.
They got to do something because either they get acquired or they partner up because they're going to sink really fast. They're going to sink. They still have good quality shows that are coming in. Straight Thing, Sweet Tooth is great. There's some other stuff out there, some good docs coming out, but at the same time, they're going to become the fifth, sixth streaming.
Because you look at this MGM thing, how much of the MGM stuff's not going to be on Netflix anymore?
Yeah.
Like, do you really think Rocky's going to come back once that contract, at least the thing is up now?
No.
The Rocky series is going to be back on Netflix? No. Stargate? No. James Bond? No.
God,
That's going to be on Amazon.
Yep.
Which that's a lot of like high tier quality content that people will rewatch over and over again. It's part of the pop culture.
It's included in your Prime.
It's included in Prime. So I don't see them. They could lease it out as an extra way to make money. I could see them doing that. Some companies have done that, but like Disney's not with Marvel. Beyond the Sony movies, everything's on Disney Plus. It's not anywhere else. Beyond the old school, I think you can rent the Paramount stuff, Phase 1, you can still get them on different platforms.
Well,
Those are over the old deal.
There's a couple Marvel productions on HBO, Ghost Rider, and some of the X-Men movies.
But that's a Fox one.
That's a Fox thing.
Yeah. If it was like a Disney proper production, like
Yeah,
Disney
that's
Marvel
true.
Studios, it's
true.
generally only going to be on Disney Plus. And I could see Amazon pulling the same with the IPs they're acquiring.
Yeah,
And that's going to fuck Netflix.
that is.
I don't know if they're
So
going to be
Netflix-
able to pump out high enough quality content to compete with that consistently enough over time to compete with all that history. That's a lot.
And
So it
they
definitely
do-
sounds like they're just gonna get bought out, is what I'm feeling. Because I don't feel like they can make a move whatsoever. Netflix can.
Yeah.
So
I don't know who
best
would buy
bet-
them, though.
Yeah, because they always operate in the red, man. Like they're always in the red
Yeah.
every.
And you think about
because-
their production stuff, a lot of their stuff's independently, like it's just like a contracted movie. You know,
Yep.
like they don't have the production crews that like their Netflix teams. They're just got
Yeah.
hired to do a Netflix show.
Oh, so
And their
that's
IP
worse.
really, it's got some hits like Stranger Things, The Witcher,
Mhm.
but like the other big ones are 3 Marvel shows.
Yeah.
You know, things like that. So I'm not sure where they go, but
Their two biggest shows were The Office and Friends, and they're
exactly,
now.
and they're not there anymore.
Yeah.
And they're probably going to lose more stuff. So it'll be curious to see if they can ratchet up
Oh.
their content side enough to keep pace with what's all going down. Especially now that you've got like Amazon's and, you know, getting into like, hey, we're going to do independent comic book stuff on our own. You don't have to go to Netflix for it. We'll just do it. You know, you got The Boys, you got Invincible.
Good show.
But Netflix did have The Old Guard.
That's
It
true.
was dope. That was a really solid movie.
And Umbrella Academy's good.
I enjoyed that too.
Yeah.
I just don't know if they have enough horses in the stable going forward as
No.
like Amazon has fuck you money to the world
Yeah.
to do. Like
Print it.
we talk about Apple having money. Amazon's got like can we just like give you a number off the top of our head kind of money?
Yeah.
Like they can do whatever the fuck they want.
Yeah.
They're the richest company in the world.
You said something that I totally forgot, that these companies also own studios now. They are acquiring studios for production.
Yeah, like they're
Just-
owning everything, lock, stock, and barrel. Netflix
Yeah.
hasn't really done that,
No.
and I don't know if they can. I don't know if they're gonna be able to raise the capital to do that.
Yeah, it's a good point.
Yeah, it'll be really fun to watch though.
Yeah, it will.
Good podcast content.
Hell yeah.
All right, anything else on the docket we missed?
Joe, we missing anything, man?
No, nothing I can think of. Oh wait, actually something to add on. Critical Role. I know you guys probably haven't watched it. Had their season 2 finale, and it was 7+ hours long. Twitch stream.
Oh.
I was like, holy cow! And I think peak viewership one point in time when I was checking was at like 120,000 viewers. And I was like, man, these are just people playing a made-up fantasy game. And I was like, man, this is fucking crazy.
Dude,
For them to go 7 hour long.
nerdy shit is king, and if
It
Critical Role and
is.
D&D like live streaming as a niche market blowing up into mainstream market does not drive that point home enough, I don't know what will.
Hell
Right?
yeah, man. I'm all for it, man. I'm a
Same.
43-year-old man that grew up a long time geek, and to see like that shift in the last 20 years, it's been great. Just like content, everything to geek culture. Like that's what everyone wants to watch now. And I'm great. I'm happy for that, because then I get fucking Sweet Tooth on Netflix, like just some indie comic book, you know? Yeah. It's good. I'm happy, and seeing that 100,000, God, that's crazy to me.
That's freaking nuts. And just people's
That's
telling us made up
X-Kids on
story.
his streams. Jeez.
Yeah. D&D is
Great.
king.
Dude,
Hell
it's
yeah.
true.
Long way from the 80s. Of like
Oh,
the
yeah.
hey, your kids are worshiping the devil.
Oh, yeah. If you want to, just go to YouTube and look up old 2020s episodes of 2020 about Satanism. Yeah, fuck yeah, it's hilarious. It's just hilarious. Like it was a witch hunt. Like me, I have an Iron Maiden poster in my room. I'm a devil worshiper. Seriously,
Yeah, it was satanic
That's so
panic, man.
crazy.
It was nuts.
Panic Panic was real. It was crazy back in the 80s and early 90s. Crazy shit.
I couldn't even imagine dealing with that. Because I'd just be one of those people that's like poke it. Just be like, well, let's see how far we can push this.
Yeah,
Just
I want to poke the bear back then, man,
Nope.
because they were gonna they were gonna do whatever they could. To
And they
cleanse
could
it.
because it wasn't making money.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
it wasn't making the money it's today.
Oh,
Nobody
God,
can
no.
deny
Jesus.
that it's like
Yeah.
good because it makes money. That's the American way,
Yeah.
man. It makes money.
We have a show about the devil called Lucifer. Seriously, like back then, that would have been like
No, that would have
outrage.
never flown.
Nope.
It's okay. One thing before one tangent off that, as we're right around our usual 110.
Okay.
Why can show like Supernatural never did this. Lucifer's not doing this. I get it in America and in really Christian areas, but like it's a show about the devil and God. Why does nobody ever ask where the fuck Jesus is in these shows? Ever. Like in any supernatural show, Jesus never comes up.
Because Jesus is God. In the Christian concept of
Depends
God,
on which Christian concept.
Yeah.
the Judeo-Christian, you
Yeah.
have the Trinity.
You talking
which are the-
Presbyterian? You talking Episcopalian?
that's
Like
true.
it gets crazy.
Lutheran.
But it's like, but this is a fake bullshit world where like Lucifer's just hanging out in LA solving crimes, right? Like it's a Neil Gaiman story.
And banging chicks, yeah.
Like why does nobody ever bring up Jesus?
Oh yeah, it's interesting.
Like Supernatural had everybody. They had Cain, Abel, Adam, Eve, God, all the archangels. They had like the Antichrist. Like they did an episode on the Antichrist. Never brought up the actual like in religion Christ. Fuck. I
No,
want to
buff
know.
Jesus.
Like I want to like go like have an episode where like Lucifer goes off just to some spot in the world and like, oh hey, here's Jesus. He's just bartending, something like that. Like
That'd be hilarious.
that'd be awesome.
Jesus is like, yeah, I just don't want to get mixed in, man.
Or like
So-
Lucifer needs the roof redone on his house. Who's running the contracting crew? Oh, it's Jesus. Like that'd be hilarious.
I just love the concept of like Jesus as a bartender. It's just a water tap, and you ask what he wants, and he just makes it, and then hands it to you.
Exactly. That's where I
Oh
was
my
going.
God, yes.
Oh, that'd be great. That'd be good. Like, yeah, I didn't order wine. I wanted vodka. He just
Yeah, just there you go. Wait. What brand you want? Done. Like that'd be awesome.
That'd be great.
That'd be hilarious.
Best of people want top shelf. It's 2 fingers.
Yeah, just-
Exactly. But yeah, I imagine people would freak out. Like there would be like actual like campaigns to be like, you know, boycott campaigns and stuff. So I can understand why the studios don't want to do it. It's like you're telling a story about like all this biblical stuff. And like one of the 2 biggest biblical characters there is, nobody ever talks about it in fictional media. Crazy.
Take a poke at it. See what the hell happens.
Get over the assholes who are gonna yell about shit.
Get over the Twitter army. It's okay.
I think it'd be a fun part of the story, but Lucifer can kind of get away with it because it was actually a Neil Gaiman story, and that wasn't a part of the Neil Gaiman story.
That's
so
true.
it's fine. But Supernatural, I got a bone to pick with that. Should have done it. Okay, that's enough for me. I got nothing more to talk about. We got next 2 weeks. We're gonna be talking about Loki. That's all dropping. I'm hoping to do a supplemental podcast episode once I wrap up Legendary Edition. I'm gonna maybe do a 20-minute episode with Jackie. Talk about Mass Effect as a series, especially if they announce anything cool at E3. Or I think there's an EA play on like July 22nd. That sounds right. Where they're potentially maybe going to announce like Mass Effect multiplayer.
Yeah,
we'll do an episode with that. Towards the fall, of course, we got maybe a live podcast with me and Fusion in person.
Yes, sir.
Enjoy. I got to talk to you before we end the call about that. Let's see what else we got in the fire. Anything else? Got anything coming out they want to check out in the next 2 weeks?
Apparently, E3 is supposed to be mega huge next week, guys. Like, there's supposed to be a lot of shit drop, a lot of shit. So I can't wait for that.
Yeah, should be a fun time. It's gonna be a weird E3 because like it's being like hosted.
Yeah.
So which has never been a thing before.
Just get Aisha Tyler to do it, man.
I know it's like Rick Miller, Golden Boy, and
Rick Miller.
Who's the female host? Oh, I'm blanking on her name. I can see the tweet in my head, and I can't remember her name. But she's fantastic, and so it's going to be an interesting show. Because a lot of the major studios aren't being involved directly with E3. They're doing similar things, kind of bracketing it. Not as many as before. Like Sony's altogether really not. They're going to kind of go do their own thing like a couple weeks later, probably. And they already had something the 27th of May. They had an event with like Horizon Zero Dawn and such. And they announced that like God of War is already delayed, so don't expect to see it in any trailer or anything like that. Microsoft, of course, is doing something for E3 with Bethesda, so I expect we're going to get a lot of Bethesda news because their games are now 10 months into the pipeline of working with Xbox. Maybe we get a tease of a Fallout, I would love to see them now that Obsidian and Fallout, Bethesda under one banner. Hey, we're gonna force them to work together. New Fallout game. I would love it if it's Phil dragging out the head of Obsidian and Todd Howard be like, and now kiss, and then they leave. Yeah, like that would be hilarious. I'd lose my mind, and the internet would lose their minds because it would be holy shit. The guys like Fallout 3 and New Vegas back to back were fucking stellar video games. I'd love to see a collaboration Fallout from those guys. It'd be so cool.
Would be great. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's about. I think that about wraps it up here for episode 17. Thanks, Joey, for hanging out.
Yes, no
Thank you,
problem, guys.
Joey.
Thanks for inviting me.
Yep. We might get. I'm thinking as we get back to movies, as we do, like we're gonna go see Fast 9 or whatever the name of it is. Is it the F9 saga or whatever? I don't know what the fuck.
I have no
words they're
clue.
using.
All I know is that I want to see it.
Exactly. I want to see it. I'm imagining we're gonna maybe cut in some quick thoughts now that I have a car that doesn't run like it's a motorcycle. Shoot some things in the car after we see the movies and like intersperse them into the podcast. So I'm hoping we can shoot some more of those because I have a setup to do that in the car. I just got to buy a new splitter because I broke mine. But I got 2 decent lapel mics and a CD mount for the camera, so it should work pretty good. So Fusion, thanks for hanging.
Thank you, sir, for having me as always.
Thanks everyone who's listening and or watching for hanging out. Be sure to like and subscribe if you're on the video side. If you're on our audio feeds, if you can leave a review, please do. Rate as well. All that stuff helps. And we'll see you in 2 weeks, or you'll hear us in 2 weeks, when we're talking about Loki, E3 news, and whatever else crazy shit happens in pop culture. Yeah. Bye.
Love you. Bye.